live in a world that is on one hand filled with abundance and on the other hand, a world with no lack of poverty. Today's guests are using comedy to focus attention on this and to stir people up to make a difference. So joining us from Abbotsford, British Columbia is one of Canada's top comedians, Leland Klassen. And from Lethbridge, we've got Glenn Hobden. He's the Fund Development Coordinator with Bridges of Hope, and he joins me in studio. So we're doing something different here. We got a guest in studio beside me and a guest on Zoom joining us from British Columbia. Welcome, gentlemen, to you both.
Thank you. Great to be here this morning.
It's great to be here in my home this morning as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, Leland. Okay, why don't we start first with yourself? Let's talk briefly about, why don't you tell us about what Bridges of Hope is all about?
Well, Bridges of Hope is really a network of, right now, about 77 different projects in 26 different countries around the world. And those projects vary from feeding programs in West Africa right through to Youth One in Lethbridge here. So we've got a little bit of everything and try to provide something along the way for what's needed.
Yeah, okay, so you have invited Leland Klassen, our comedian here, to do some stand-up comedy. You're going to do a stand-up comedy night coming up on Thursday, October the 9th. And maybe tell us about this. When, where, why, how do we get tickets? What's going on?
The event is going to be at the Miz City Church in Lethbridge here, and it's going to be October the 9th at 7 o'clock. We're going to start, and people can get tickets by going on to bridgesofhope.ca. There's a little banner right at the top there. They can go on there. They can get tickets from there, or they can call the office at 380-3844, and we can help them with tickets.
Okay, what made you decide you want to do a comedy night?
Well, do you know, the world is full of a lot of hurt. We see that with what happened down south over the weekend and things of that nature. There's a lot of hurt. So why don't we bring a little bit of laughter with a little bit of the hope, try to encourage people and just to have a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of fun. Try and find an event that you can take your kids to, or in my case, take grandkids to, that you don't have to hold a mute button down. That you can go, some family, fun entertainment, where we can educate people a little bit on what's happening around the world with the need that's there.
Yeah, so some hope with levity, basically.
Yes.
Leland, you've been doing family-friendly comedy for decades now, speaking of family-friendly. So I understand that you've also stepped out into the world of film. You write and you produce movies, and you also landed a starring role in the film Extraordinary alongside Kirk Cameron and Karen Abercrombie. So what's the latest for you on that front? That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. You know what? I have a new movie coming out called Empty Nets, like a fishing nets.
Okay.
And you can find out more at emptynetsmovie.com. And it's a first century Galilean comedy, that old genre. And it's, the show The Chosen? You've probably heard of The Chosen?
Yes, of course. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not that.
It's not that. Okay.
No, but it is. We did shoot at the same studio they did their first 2 seasons at.
Wow.
So it was fun. I grew my beard out good and long. I looked pretty authentic.
Wow. So good. Longer than it is now.
Oh yeah. No,
Okay.
I had a big curly beard. I looked very, very first century
That's
Galilean.
Awesome. What's Kirk Cameron like? I grew up watching him, of course, Growing Pains.
Oh, he's great. People often ask me that when they found out that I worked with him, and they want to know is it real, because he seems so nice and he absolutely is 100% super genuine, super real, super authentic guy.
Awesome.
Great guy.
So cool. Good for you, Glenn. Getting back to you for a second here. You recently traveled to Burkina Faso. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, Burkina Faso.
Okay, so it's one of the nations that Bridges of Hope is working in. So what was that experience like? What are the needs there?
See, the unique thing about Burkina Faso is it's one of the poorest countries in the entire world. And the things we take for granted, they would consider luxuries, right down to, your running water, food on the table, being able to hit that little flush button on the toilet. It's luxuries to them.
That's incredible.
And it's devastating. You got 500,000 kids that are in that country under the age of 5 that are dealing with the devastating effects of poverty.
Terrible.
It is.
Yeah, no. I know that you believe in empowering people to provide training and education to equip them to rise up out of poverty. So can you tell us about some of the ways that you do that?
Well, you see, at the heart of Bridges of Hope is this idea that we don't believe in charity, because charity creates dependency. So it's the idea that I could give someone a jug of water today. Well, they're going to need a jug of water tomorrow.
Right.
So we want to help them to be able to find their own jug of water. So essentially,
Like teach a man to fish. type of
well,
deal.
it is that adage of the teach a fish, give a fish, teach a fish. Well, what if they don't have a pond to fish in? So that's where things like our micro loan program comes in, where we will give 97% of the people who get loans are women. And so you give a woman a $65 or a $70 loan, she buys a sewing machine, she starts a project, and then she can feed her family. And when she's doing that, then she's able to rise above that poverty idea. And that's the whole idea, is always rise above. We always want to leave we want to go into a project knowing that we're not staying there forever. We want to see people rise above, the resilience aspect of things.
So essentially this comedy night, this event that you're holding, is to raise funds for Bridges of Hope so that you can continue work like that, correct?
It's for our Million Meals campaign. And we've got, this year we're hoping to raise funds for 1 million meals, and we can feed a child for 27 cents for one meal.
Wow.
And so as we raise that, and we started it at the beginning of the year, we're about halfway there, and we're really hoping that an event like this will help us to move farther towards that goal.
Yeah, amazing. And it's so lovely that you've got Leland coming and agreeing to do this. He's such a big name. Leland, can I ask how you got started in comedy and what you would say to viewers who want to step out into comedy or acting?
Yeah, man, it's been so long ago. I don't even remember how I started anymore. I basically, actually it was after I got married, and I was always thinking about doing it, but then I got married and had all this material, and needed to do something with it.
Your poor wife.
But no, this is what I'll tell people who want to get into it. I used to give advice like, as much stage time as possible and trial and error and all those kinds of things. And that's all true and all good advice. But over the years, I've seen a few comics come and go and mentored a few here and there. And I would just say, make sure your faith is as strong as possible before you start, because this industry can tear it up. So I guess that would be the number one bit of advice I'd give anybody starting out now.
That's great advice. Yeah, you hear that a lot for sure. And you are in Lethbridge October the 9th. When and where else can people catch one of your upcoming performances?
I'm all over the interwebs. Just go to lelandklassen.com. That's one E in Leland, by the way. I don't know if is it down below? Right there, Leland.
We're going to put it
I don't know
down
if you're
there.
doing it. Are you going to? Okay.
Otherwise, it'll just look like you're pointing at nothing.
Yeah, just like I'm pointing at nothing. LelandKlassen.com, and you'll find all my schedule and where I'm going to be and what I'm doing, and there's some clips there as well to watch some specials. I got a big stand-up special coming up next year too, so watch for that.
Fabulous. Glenn, earlier you shared a little bit of some real-world experience with the country that you visited. Can you share any other examples of lives that have been changed by the work that Bridges of Hope does?
Well, there's one really unique story in particular. Let me share two stories with you. One, there's a guy named Sylvan. Sylvan was 14, 15 years of age, and all of a sudden, he comes to Christ. His family, his dad, hears this and says, "You can't be a part of the family," and threw him out of the house. A year later, when I was in Burkina Faso, I met this young man, and I said to him, I looked at him, and I said, "Do you have any regrets?" And he looked at me with the biggest smile on his face. With no family left, he looks and he says, "No not one. And a huge smile. And I thought, you know, we're doing something. Here's a young man that was in our orphanage. We brought him in, we helped, we nurtured him, led him to Christ, you know, and there he is, and he's having success. But you know, a heartbreaking story, which there are so many of them that are there. I walked into the orphanage when I was there in late August, and I walked in to see in the nursery, and here's this 2-week-old baby, Ashika. She had been born in the bush. Her mother gave birth by herself in the bush. And for 2 days, that baby was right beside her mother before somebody found her. They found the baby. They bring Ashika to the orphanage. They bring her in. They care for her. And what I saw this child, and I thought it was a doll first. She opened her eyes. She stole my heart. And I did what the average person would do. I took my wallet out. I took everything I had. I handed it to the orphanage director, and I said, "What will that do?" And they said, "Well, we can hire a better wet nurse. We can make sure she can get her vaccinations. We can care for her." And I thought, we got to do more. You know, the story of little Ashika says, we're not done. We've got far more to do, and that has just sort of motivated me personally to want to do more. Sadly, I was back for a week, and I got word from the director that little Ashika has passed away.
Oh, no.
She was when she was brought to the orphanage rather, she was just under 3 pounds.
Oh gosh.
And she passed away. But there in the orphanage, there's about 24 other kids from infants through to 10, 12 years of age.
Yeah. Lots
really,
of little Ashikas out there.
There are.
Need it.
There are tons of them there.
Oh, that's such a sad story.
It is.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. But so if viewers want to respond to something like this and they'd like to support it, but they don't know if any small donation could actually make a difference, what do you say to that?
Well, if you understand that 27 cents can feed a child for 1 day, then if a person, if you go to your ashtray, that we don't even have ashtrays in a car, the little, you open that and you look in there, how many people have $2.70 in there? Well, $2.70, that's 10 meals. And if you understand that the majority of children in Burkina Faso have 1 meal a day, and so they have this, it can feed them so little as much when God is in it, and it's amazing what that $2.70 or $27, and that's ideally what I would love to have, is to find 1,000 individuals willing to give $27 a month so that we can see those 1,000 meals provided for them.
Incredible. How can viewers partner with Bridges of Hope with what you guys are doing around the world?
Again, they can support us if they go on to bridgesofhope.ca. They can see every program that we've got going there. They can see the Million Meals campaign. They can buy tickets for this event that's going on. They can see what we're doing. It's an amazing opportunity to become the hands and feet of Jesus. You can't give a cup of cold water from 1,000 miles away, but you can help us to make sure that happens.
Yeah. One more time, Glenn, real quick, tell us about the comedy fundraiser that's coming up with Leland Klassen.
It's going to be on October the 9th. From 7, we'll finish at 9 o'clock, and Leland's going to be there. I've assured my wife that I'm not going to be telling any jokes because we'll leave them to Leland. My jokes are always approved by my wife, and I'm getting less and less approved all the time. So we'll leave that to the professionals. But we're going to have an amazing night there where people can come out, they can support us. Hey, we're going to sell chickens. Well, they're going to be virtual chickens, but we thought with a comedy night, why don't we sell some chickens? And so we're going to try and sell 100 chickens.
And hopefully they won't get thrown at the stage at Leland, right?
Well, we'll see what we can do.
Virtual chickens.
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, maybe some rubber chickens.
There
right?
you go.
No tomatoes, though. Oh, Leland, I wish we could hear some stand-up from you right now, but I might just have to come to the event. Thanks so much, gentlemen, for being with us today. Really appreciate having you both on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Glenn Hobden and Leland Klassen. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.